All right, guys, what's up? It's the start of week 6. Here's your week 5 recap. A little while ago, a week or so ago, we started to introduce you to the idea of producers, consumers, and decomposers, and you see that there's a little cycle going on there. Producers do photosynthesis, consumers eat the stuff that the plants make, other consumers eat other consumers, and then in the end, which we haven't really talked about yet, bacteria and fungi will take the leftover remains and put it back in the ground, and it's a nice little cycle. What we had you do last week was talk about food chains. We need you to understand what this picture is showing you. So here we go. We're going to talk about the pyramid and the chain and then go over the quiz questions and then preview the rest of the week. So if you put your animals in the right spot, you would have had a plant on the bottom, and the owl and the snake would have been the one that you left on top, and the caterpillar and the frog. The rest of the stuff would have looked like this. Uh, whoa, we have different levels. So the bottom level of any food chain is the pyramid. It's the first trophic level, and it involves producers. Producers are plants. They do photosynthesis. The second level of the pyramid, one level up, or the second level in a food chain, are primary consumers. These are consumers that eat plants. So in this case, we have a caterpillar. Moving over, the third trophic level, the third chain or the third step in the chain is a secondary consumer. Primary consumer first, secondary consumer. They're going to eat something else like the caterpillar. This guy is going to get eaten by something else, usually a carnivore of sorts. This is a tertiary consumer. In this case, you could have used the owl or the snake. The energy levels, they have this lovely 10% rule. Lots of smart people have done lots of research, and they've realized that however much energy there is in an ecosystem, 90% of it gets used at each level. So if there's 1,000 kilocalories of energy produced by the plants in this ecosystem, the plants use 90% of that to live and function, to be plants, to grow leaves, to move stems, to respond to light. And then the caterpillars eat what's left, and they get about 1,000. So 90% gets used, 10% gets passed on. They use 90% of the 1,000 they ate, and so there's only 100 left for the frog. So when the frog eats the caterpillar, he's getting 100 units of energy, 10% of what the caterpillar had. And then the same thing for the owl and the snake. They're only getting 10% of the frog, so they're getting 10 kilocalories. The frog used the 90 from that level to function, live, and hop around and be a frog. So the 500 was not used, and there's no such thing as a secondary producer. So if your slide looked like this when you turned it in, you were going to get 100. I will give you feedback on your use of the green, the blue, and the yellow/orange labels. All right, let's trans over to the quiz. So this was the quiz that we had you get to. We wanted you to get into STEMscopes. Hopefully you went through Launchpad and then logged in. So this first question we're asking you is which characteristic is shared by primary and secondary consumers? We should clue on the word consumers, knowing that they eat things. And 3 of these answers involve plants and producing energy. We need to choose the last one. Down here, we've got a pyramid. This is that food chain, very similar to the one you created. We need to know which level of the energy pyramid has the most biomass. We've been saying bio means life, mass is matter, and we know that we have the most biomass at the bottom of a chain. So in this case, the answer is the producers. Here they flip the diagram kind of over. They put the consumer at the end and the producer at the beginning. They give you some clues, primary, secondary, marlin, small sharks. And the answer is the phytoplankton. So hopefully you didn't flip it around and choose the shark because it was on the bottom. Same food chain, food pyramid from above. This time they ask you about which which portion of the diagram represents the level with the most available energy, and that would be the producers. So obviously the opposite of this question would be the top predator. And we lose energy to living along the way. Here they ask us about a food chain that involves a plant, a beetle, a catfish, and a hawk. The arrows are showing where the energy goes. That's depicting the picture, and then we go, which of the following could possibly increase the total amount of energy the catfish population receives? Well, the catfish is getting his energy from the beetle. Energy from the beetle is going to the catfish, so we need to do something to increase beetles, and that is, in fact, one of the choices. You might have thought about, we'll need more plants to support more beetles. Good, you're thinking a couple of steps ahead, but what we really want is something about the beetles. All right, we get to our first food web here. This is a chain and then another chain and another chain. When you put chains together, you get a web. We need to be able to follow back this one and work away from one end or back towards the other. Which of the following correctly shows one path that energy would flow? So we need to go, where is energy going? So we need to know that it starts with either an acacia tree or a grass. So we're going to get rid of hyena as an answer. And then we got to go, which one's right? Well, this one's the right one. Let's look at the wrong ones. Grass, termite, grasshopper, monkey. Grass, termite, that works. Grasshopper, there is no connection or flow between termites and grasshoppers. They both eat grass. They don't pass any energy between each other. So that one's out. Acacia cheese, giraffe to the line. We're looking pretty good. Vulture, there's no apparent link between lions and vultures. Okay, so grass, termite, monkey, eagle. I didn't know eagles ate monkeys, but I guess if the eagle's big enough and the monkey's small enough, I guess today you learned that eagles eat monkeys. I didn't know that. All right, question 7. The mountain lion is the right answer. A reduction in the deer population will have the effect in the amount of energy this ecosystem is able to provide for which of the following organisms. So if the deers decrease, then the energy is to the mountain lion. You'll notice that the arrows are gone and they're just lines, and this is implying that you know that energy goes from producers towards top level consumers. So in this case, energy is flowing in the general direction up. It doesn't flow down. So there you go. Quiz scores were pretty good across the board. You can go back in and find your feedback. So that's feedback from the pyramid and from the quiz. Let's take a look at this week's assignments. So here we go. Here is week 6. Let me scoot myself over. You've got your overview document with some links, and there you go. Not to be turned in, just an assignment. I'm getting better at what's a material versus what's an assignment. Here's week 6, assignment number 1. I'm getting better about naming them. This one, you're going to do a Google form for us. You're going to do some more of the questions similar to the ones I just went over. You need to log in. I'm logged in as my son today. Yay, it gives me a student view. Click here. You'll get a form. That's the last name. Ryder is in first period. We're going to hit next. And we've got some questions for you to go through. I'm not going to give you the answers today. I'll give them to you next week. All right, so that's your first assignment. Come back over here. That one you don't actually have to turn in. You just have to hit submit. Submit, yes. When you hit submit, it won't let you submit because I haven't answered the questions. I'm not going to do that today. But once you hit submit, it's turned in. You don't actually have to turn this assignment in. Here we go, week 2. Here's the week 2. This is about dichotomous keys. Guys, dichotomous keys are pretty cool. They're a bunch of questions that you ask yourself about an animal or a living thing to try and identify it. You can do it with living stuff and non-living stuff. I've seen some dichotomous keys in the newspaper talking about how to identify whether you are sick or not. Like, do you have a fever? Yes or no? No. That's that. Do you have respiratory issues? Doctors use them to assess patients and where they need to send patients. So it's not just for science, but it's pretty cool. We got some YouTube videos to watch. We've got a STEMscopes article to read, and then we have a Google Slides to demonstrate your learning on. It's a lot like last week's. We've got you able to read the directions. We've got the key on slide 2. We've got some practice here. You can pull down the blue deals to practice. It's in backwards order so that I can see the work slide. And yep, so you'll move this over or delete it, and then you'll go, okay, here, there. It's a little goofy because you'll have to go bounce back and forth, but I think if you look at the key, you'll be able to figure it out. So And then you go, okay, this guy, and you go through the questions and you drag the name of these guys onto whatever they are. And trust me, that's not a pog. He is not a pog. Um, that's not the pog. But I'll be able to quickly look and see if you have the right orange and blues. I've created a nice little pattern for me to look at of orange and blue stuff. So good luck with that. Good luck this week. You guys have been doing an awesome job. Let's go back to the PowerPoint. So we did that, some fun stuff. Let's see, Mr. Reisinger is, okay, last week, Ryder and I and Davis, my two sons, we built 60 feet of marble track in the house. We used some Hot Wheels track there in the background and some stuff. We started upstairs, went down the stairs, and then as part of his assignment with forces and something in class, it was pretty fun. I went for another bike ride. It's my friend Richard in the back. We were very appropriate about social distancing. He was never within 6 feet of me. I'm way faster than him. Not always, but it's a bike ride. This is my little girl. She's had a cast on. She was all proud of it. She was walking around like a pro. And then last Friday, she got it off. As you can see, she was not a big fan of the saw, but she was a trooper. And she can't walk now because her legs all atrophied and her muscular system doesn't work. And last week I took the boys fishing, and Davis is 5 now, and he's pretty much able to fish on his own. So I had some fun. Oh, I'm learning to turn pens in my free time, and I like working with wood. So that's a wrap. That's week 6. Get after it. Keep doing a good job. I appreciate your comments on Google, reaching out to me, asking me questions.